Good evening, everyone, and welcome to session 4 of Alien Chariot of the Gods as we rejoin our crew on the love boat UCSS Cronus, where I believe Mr. Kevin Rye is about to be a brand new baby daddy twice over. Most of the party is all gathered within the med bay to celebrate this joyous occasion, having to clear out one of the med pods with a rather stubborn resident that stayed a little bit longer than their time allotted. Although one person is conspicuously missing from the group, as Cham has been working to try and repair Ava 6, the android who has been helping to maintain the ship and is unfortunately missing out on the festivities. We would hate to keep the bouncing baby boy waiting, so let's begin this latest segment of another RPG Reanimators. It's Alive. Liam, you have taken Rye's suit off enough that you can see there is this bulge across his left shoulder. It seems to be nestled more around the scapula and towards the back. You're concerned about how close it is getting to his spinal cord, as well as key aorta and other bloody things like that. So you're choosing to focus first on his leg. As you've taken the suit off, the suit has almost become stuck as you're trying to get closer and you're needing to cut, as the leg has not only swollen to pressurize to put in, sorry, I can't say words right now. The leg is not only swollen to put immense pressure on the boot, but it seems stuck and snagged on something. As you've been cutting through this heavy material meant to withstand the vacuum of space, you finally can see the beginnings of this thing, this parasite that is growing on Rye's leg, as you watch something that looks almost like a tendril underneath the skin below his kneecap. Now, I will permit you, before we get started, you can give me a wits roll with no stress dice or anything on it, as this is all happening still very quickly after you all just came out of cryo. And I want to see how much of your memory is getting cleared up.
Sure. Also, I don't know if the table has this outfitted, but can I get is there a curtain so he doesn't that goes on his neck there that he can't see? I don't want to start freaking out.
You have given Rye, I don't know the scientific term for it, so we're going to call it a night-night shot. And
okay. Oh yeah, he's out. Okay, great.
So that way, yeah, you didn't need to worry about unruly patients seeing things growing in their bodies and things like that. It's usually a hassle for medical procedures.
I got 3 out of 4 success on wits.
Okay. So time seems to slow down for a bit, and you're hearing your own panicked heartbeat. And you look up and see Reed and Johns, and Wilson is laying on the knocked against the far wall. There seems to be some of the spilled specimen jars containing these infant neomorphs. That's what Cooper called them. That you remember that the med pods were designed as with special outfittings to extract parasitic creatures from various hosts placed inside. However, looking at the jars against the far wall, memory flashes with screaming and splatters of blood everywhere, and one escaping. You have never been able to extract one of these from a host without killing the parasite and or the host in the process. You also, I will give you this one, the vaccine that you helped derive based on the 26 Draconis strain it implements some of the same mutagenic materials that you suspect influence some of these spores that people breathe in that allow these egg sacs for these parasites to fester within a body. And you know that you used this same material to make these things inert, that it should turn any of these embryonic parasitic materials within a human host, it should turn them into inert tumors, but at least it will stop their metastasis further. You've never administered them on a host this far gone before. You don't know what the outcomes of that may be. As Flynn is having this, like, he seems to have 1,000-yard stare looking into the room with other people around the med pod. We have Reed and Miller are standing over this distended body that seemed to have been vivisected around its stomach, so its spine is just draped over the side of the bed, crawling towards Wilson after having knocked the piss out of him. And he's up against the wall. Reed stomped on the fire axe that Miller had embedded into his throat, and you all are calm for a moment. You're not hearing any screams or any other noise. What are you doing?
If things are crawling towards me, I'm getting out of
No.
there.
It's dead. Finally, it almost took you out. You feel like you're down to, I believe, 1 health. And yeah, so you're against the wall. There is one of those things that's kind of on the ground next to you, pale, floppy. It looks almost like do you know those the tooth fairies from Hellboy 2 with this kind of bulbous head, and the arms, the fingers almost go down. It's laced up like this, almost like a little praying mantis or something. It looks insectoid and maybe reptilian or something. I don't know. It's hard to say. You're not a scientist.
Okay. I am going to find something to collect it and get away from the rest of this. That's what I'm going to do.
Miller, as always, Wilson is putting these fucking alien bullshit things ahead of the crew and is trying to scoop it up.
What are you doing?
We have to bring it back. This is valuable.
What do you mean we have to bring it back? We have to just get off this ship. We have to fix it up. We've got so much more to worry about.
Okay, then worry about it.
If you collect that shit and it ends up spreading to wherever we take it when we escape, I just...
It's dead. It's not going to spread anywhere.
How do you know that? Are you a scientist?
Does it look like it's spreading anything? It's more likely that the spores are going to spread something.
We just all need to get vaccinated ASAP.
Great.
Johns, the sort of soft-spoken guy, seems hunched over a lot. He says, I think we kept the vaccines over here, actually, and heads towards one of the cabinets underneath the specimen jars.
I'll go with John.
Okay. He walks over and pulls a drawer out, and you can see it looks like they were set as several, what am I trying to say? They seem in those kind of gyroscopically stabilized containers, as if they only were able to make so many at a time, but tried to make sure that nothing would jostle or impact these. As he goes and opens it up, he takes out one of the vials. And it's at this point that I want to ask, for all these conversations, have you been having them on the common channel or radioing at all?
Because I'm still in my suit, right?
Right. But I think everyone has their masks off at this point, right?
I've still got my suit on.
Okay, I'm going to need you to roll oxygen, but also, if you have your suit, then you're still talking.
I'm not breathing in this shit. I've got 3 oxygen left.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Cham, you've been working on Ava for a little while. There's not a lot of great equipment down here. It's largely you're kind of just using maintenance tools that were in this the crane operation shack. There is a viewing window that is overlooking the main garage area. Vehicle bay, since it's a ship, it has a cooler name. It's all pitch black. There's just been this sort of tinkling of chains that you can hear moving outside. But yeah, it's kind of slow and steady goings. Do you have your radio on in order to kind of listen in and hear? There's lots of there was lots of shouting, but I don't know if it would have distracted you from what you were doing.
Yeah, I'd say I probably have the radio on so I can just kind of like listen in to see what's happening, and maybe when I heard those like screams, I perked up a little bit and then the screams died and I still heard people talking and it's like, okay, well, they've got it under control. So like there's a bigger picture here. We've got to get this ship up and running to some degree to get the hell out of here. And I think the best way to do that is to get the droid working and up, and you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So
So I will frame it this way. If you want to turn down the volume on your channel for a bit, I'll give you a +2 to an observation roll.
yeah, I'll do that. They like start screaming, like, "Oh God, it's coming out!" I'm like, "Ooh." I turn it off.
I mean, like, you could be turning it down after it seems like, well, fuck, Wilson's still alive, and then tune it
Yeah.
back down again. Just the same
Yeah.
bickering.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Observation roll, you said, right?
Yes.
Observation, and 2 additional dice on that.
Yes.
Being that I've been in a place of relative safety, has my stress gone down at all? Is that still where
I think it
at?
certainly would, because you're in a small contained area, and even the little tinklings of the cargo chains around you is somewhat meditative and relaxing.
Yeah, it's like a rain chain.
Yeah.
Blood.
How much stress did you have?
I'm at 3 stress.
Okay, we can go ahead and peel 1 stress off of that just for. Actually, you know what? Let's peel 2.
Yeah, all right. 1 stress. Okay. 1 stress, 3 die, and then 2 additional die because I am impervious to the screams of my friends dying. Great. And that is 0 successes.
Okay.
Great.
So, in that case, as you are working, oh, I got 1 success. Okay. As you are working, you feel like you hear a little kind of a different sound mixed in, almost like a clicking sound or something that's mixed in with the tinkling of the chains in the room, and there is a thud, and that's when you look up and realize that what you thought was the crane sitting just outside the window hanging from the rail in the ceiling is no longer there. It's actually further down towards the end of the room. Your mind flashes back to waving that motion detector around, which you don't even remember where you left it. Something was moving out here in the nothingness from the catwalk.
Well, I guess first thing I'm going to do, the door is shut, right? Is there any way for it, like, does it have, like, can I engage the lock on it? It's like,
So this is something like, if you've seen, I am kind of imagining this like those small kind of corrugated tin offices that kind of move along in factories. So this just is a room, basically. It's not terribly secure. It's not like you have a deadbolt on the door, but like you have the door pushed closed to try and at least help yourself feel a little safer. But I'll tell you what, if you want to push this roll, you can gain another stress dice and kind of glue your face to the window overlooking this vehicle bay. It's so dark underneath there. Or you can take your flashlight and start shining it down.
yeah, let's not do that. And let's not do that at all. You know what? I haven't pushed anything, so yeah, sure, why not? I'll take stress, and I will push that. So
Okay, you
do
can
I
still
still
keep,
the
if your
+2?
radio is still down, you can still keep that +2.
Yeah, sounds good. Ooh, oh, 2 successes on both of the stress. Oh, you can't see that. 2 successes
You
on
have
both of the
invisible
stress
dice.
tab.
Cheater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
For the 2 successes, but kind of missing a couple of critical seconds, you glue are describe what you're doing right now to try and push the roll. Are you looking out of the doorway? Are you looking more into the vehicle bay? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm assuming that it's got one of those. The windows are like slanted
Yes.
outwards, so you can see down in. So maybe I'm getting like a little bit and getting out and like a little closer, like peering over the edge, like further down into the bay or whatever. Just like getting close. Like maybe we were at the back end of the room when I noticed, something, and now I'm like at the other side, like really trying to push against the
Okay.
taking a look. But I'm not having my weight on the glass, Lex. I'm on some very load-bearing columns on either side. That's where my hands are. Nice and
Duly
safe.
noted. In that case, then, you mostly like you're leaning and you can hear your breath seems terribly loud. You hold your breath for a second just to see if you hear any more of that clicking sound. You're feeling very paranoid about it. And looking further down, pressing against the glass, your eyes are adjusting more to the darkness, and you see something that looks like it is whipping through the doorway downstairs. That would be more on deck 4. And that's whenever you more feel than hear this. And you feel as if something has jumped and is scaling the wall underneath your office space. You can only feel this because you are leaning against the glass. You can take a stress dice.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe a stress die would be good. Easy come, easy go. Great. So with no weapons, no way out of here, nothing like that.
You do have the small welder that Ava was using
Yeah, that worked so
to
good
try and seal the
earlier.
door. Let me roll for battery on that bad boy. Oh, these damn droids don't know how to use it. It is at half battery. That is
Ugh.
your only weapon. In addition to the Phillips head screwdriver that you are using. It's kind of in the back of Ava's head right now.
Well, if anything comes to that door, I'm going to jam it into my eye socket and God on my own terms. Great. I tell you what, I'm going to, as quietly as human possible, like kind of get back a little bit, get into a corner, and just kind of like Ava's shut down, and I'm going to just like as quiet as is possible, make no sound, no breath, nothing, just like.
And that is, as you are curled into a fetal position in the back of this office, you can feel the metal of the walls kind of giving way under your weight, and you pained thinking at how thin that piece of sheet metal is, protecting you from whatever is outside and heavy enough to make these walls vibrate. And even with the volume turned way down on your intercoms from Wilson and Miller's helmets, you can still hear screaming. Flynn, you've had a bit of time dilation to think about your plan for treatment of this patient. What do you think you're going to do?
So I forget if I know this or not. Do I know whether or not the one in his leg is too far gone for the pod to remove? Do you want me to roll an analysis for that? Because then I would just amputate the leg.
So, what I would say, because of your kind of reclaimed memories, most of these things grow near, it seems, places of heavy blood supply. They latch onto human or organic tissues and then, like a cancer, metastasize the tissue around them to form the bodies of these parasites. As best as you can tell, most of the time they are formed more in the torso, the axial body. And so anytime that they burst, the blood loss is immense. They are not exactly gentle whenever they erupt from a host, extrude from a host. We're going to use some good words tonight. However, if this one is in the leg, you feel like being able to tourniquet it at the knee, you would potentially be able to extract this thing from the leg alive, possibly using a med pod, possibly using it like just hands if you can get someone to catch the bouncing baby boy. The one on his back you are more nervous about.
What? So in my scientific experience, what would be the purpose of saving one of these things alive?
Well, you have never been able to examine one alive in its infant stage. The embryos that, as you glance up and see, Wilson is very callously kind of scooping one up in another sample jar. And you haven't been able to study exactly how these things act. You know that once they erupt from a host, they tend to find some place to hide. They grow extremely quickly, almost without a need for consumption, as best as you can tell. You can postulate that the one that erupted from Cooper is probably around 1.8 meters by this time. And so being able to study one of these as, I'm going to call it an infant, would be able to yield more interesting information about their life cycle and perhaps know if there are any ways to systematically test for weaknesses, reactions. They don't have eyes, they don't have noses, they only have this one just kind of sphincter-like opening more towards the end of this bulbous head that have teeth that extrude out, not unlike a starfish. So you don't even know how they sense things. And by the time they have grown into juveniles or adults, you don't know how you would catch one and keep it secure long enough to study. At least not with this equipment.
So I've decided that I'm probably not going to be able to. I'm going to leave the one inside of his torso to the med pod. I don't think I can do that procedure, but I do like the idea of capturing one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So Reed's in the room, right?
I think Reed is over towards the med pods, but you can wave them over if you want.
Yeah, I'll get Reed.
What you want, Doc?
Wait. Okay. Hello, Reed.
Hello, Doc. I've always known.
Can you I'm gonna attempt to. This is the closest I've ever gotten to saving a specimen alive in this condition. So I'm gonna attempt to capture it.
Alive.
We could possibly find a way to, a weakness. These things have been ruinous on us in our ship. So I think if we can capture one alive, I might be able to derive something in order to figure out a way to stop them.
I mean, would you even have the time? Those things grow fucking fast. You've already seen one.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you could just, we have to get it out. I mean, I don't really know else how to kill it right now. We're gonna try tourniqueting his leg. Who knows? Maybe the blood stoppage will kill it. But I'm thinking it's a good call for us to try and capture it. And then while it's stuck in a jar, you can barrel stuff your shotgun up to the jar and blow it away if we don't like where we're going with it.
Well, that's one part of the plan I kind of agree with. Sure, I trust
this
you.
is where you come in with the shotgun. Well, I do the procedure. I want you to aim your gun at his lower leg, right at that bulbous mass. And if anything goes wrong, I need you to shoot. Okay?
You don't have to tell me twice, Doc. I got it ready.
Okay. So I'm gonna tie a tourniquet right below his knee, right above his
Okay.
tendon.
I don't think you need to roll for that. You're an experienced medical professional. But what you might need to roll for is how are you going to take the leg?
So, just so I know, the leg's coming off. I can't just cut this baby out of his leg.
Um, you can attempt to cut the infant out of the leg. The leg is tourniqueted. It is.
Wait, that I just thought of it. Theoretically, it's kind of asleep in the leg right now. If I just cut the leg, I can just put the leg in the jar, and then it can just eat the leg as a snack, and it won't. We don't wake it up. I like it. We're gonna take the leg off. I already told Rye before he went to bed that I'm cutting the leg off. So I'm okay. I look to the jar wall.
I'm going to. Clayton,
Captain.
Clayton has been kind of staring crossed-armed, looking over your shoulder and seeing what's going on, and she kind of nods at you. He's like, I see what you're thinking. All right, hang on. And darts out of the room, comes back fairly shortly with, it's not a specimen jar, but it is some of the unused creature containers that were brought in with the ship. It's something almost like a barred pet carrier that you were intended to try and sample any indigenous wildlife as you were investigating this planetoid. These haven't really been able to be used yet, so she seems proud to be able to put company resources to good use.
Yes. Perfect use. Glad you saw what I was thinking. So, I'm gonna remove the leg, and then we're gonna throw the leg into the specimen jar, to the specimen cage.
Okay. In this case, this ship was once state of the art, and most of the equipment does reflect that capacity, although it is a bit aged. And some of the devices that you would normally have been primed to use, such as the sonic scapula and things like that, or sonic scalpel, pardon me, it doesn't quite work. And you're going to have to do this with blunt, or rather, they feel blunt and crude physical instruments. And as you try and test some of the more high tech options, yeah, you pull open the drawer full of metal scapulas and a bone saw.
Bone saw.
And
Can I get a timing check on the cleanse on the pod?
for the pod cleanse,
I think it was 10 minutes, right? How much do I have left?
I'm gonna roll. Hang on.
People are dying.
You
I have
look at the
3.
clock, and it says that there are 4 minutes remaining.
Okay.
You think that you can probably take this off in about that much time.
Is there wheelchairs in the room?
No.
Okay. So I bring Miller over because Wilson's playing with his toys, and he
Okay.
also wants to kill my patient. So
Well, if you're gonna preserve the specimen, I'm in full support of preserving the specimen, potentially a live specimen, learning to use them for future means.
noted.
Doc, I just care about the vaccine right now. Tell us.
And so then during this time with between Flynn and Clayton and all of this, Miller, you've been able to have a back and forth with Johns.
All right.
And yeah,
So which one do I take?
They're all the same. It's they didn't really have time to make special flavors, but it should stop whatever those things are from coming out of you, like Cooper.
And it should prevent if I haven't been infected yet.
Yeah.
All right, here goes nothing.
Okay. So you have to, are you going to do the thing again where you kind of hold your breath, then pop your suit helmet
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
All right. So you can do that. And it's cold, as if the little container they've been in has been keeping them at a very chilled temperature as well. And Wilson, you watch as this black fluid in a little ampule just kind of drains, going into Vincent's, or into Miller's neck.
Happens to him before I volunteer.
I'm gonna. Can I sleight of hand a vaccine? Promised Shams to get. I'd get him one.
Sure. I
Just in
mean,
case there's not any,
m-
not enough for all of us.
there are 6 vaccines that are in this container here. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
more than enough for everyone. You can, like,
Oh,
you don't
okay.
need
No
to
need
sleight of
to-
hand if you don't want
Got
to.
it. Nope, don't need to then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the helmet back on, and I'm gonna wait a bit for it to like get in my system before I take the helmet off again.
Okay. You
I,
can go ahead.
I'm gonna shout for John. So I want a vaccine for the patient, and I want Miller to help me carry him to the pod once I do the amputation.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah, sure. You got it, boss. Flynn.
So I don't want to inject him with this until I get this, until I get the specimen out of him, because I don't want to risk, I don't want to risk upsetting it, causing an early extrusion, or damaging the merchandise.
Okay.
So,
So as your scapula starts pressing, scalpel, I keep saying scapula.
Scapula.
You push your shoulder into it to try and cut his leg off. Now, so as your scalpel starts pressing into his skin, and you see that first bead of red blood start to trail down the back of his leg, you can go ahead and roll me a medical aid roll. See how cleanly you can start making this.
1 success.
Okay. Do you want to describe your process? Are you trying to be delicate with this at all? Because typically, if you're going to have to take the leg, there's tendons that run behind the knee that if you aren't careful, they shoot back up into the host's thigh, and they can get necrotic, they can become septic and lead to massive infection. Or are you just more focused on extracting the leg?
Yes, I totally knew that I could cut a tendon wrong and cause necrosis. That's a great point. Of course. But no. I'm thinking,
That sounds like a problem for future Flynn.
how high up the shin is this mass? Or is this at his ankle?
So I am envisioning it is much more localized around his kind of calf and towards the ankle.
Okay.
Since you know that these things seem to like, again, they take host tissue and convert it unto themselves, that there's not a lot to work with down at the ankle, but it's more just the whole, think of the calf muscle, except it's an alien that is about to erupt from this poor man.
Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking, like, when you need to cut a chicken wing, you go through the joint.
Yummy.
I don't want to saw at the bone because I'm afraid the vibrations might upset. What is it called again? A what morph?
Hmm?
What is it? What is the alien called again?
Neomorph.
A neomorph. I was trying to say xenomorph. I don't want to upset the neomorph by vibrating the bone. So I'm going to probably take the scalpel, and just try to cut through the knee joint.
Yeah. So you can
Tendon necrosis be damned.
Yeah. So you can start cutting through his ACL, his LCL, and like all of these tendons, they're really tough. And you can start kind of hacking. And in this room, it is filled with the unconscious groans of Rye. Even though he is knocked out, there's still the and the sounds of wet cutting and hacking. Blood is trailing down onto the floor, not a lethal amount. The tourniquet is holding, but it's still There's a lot of blood in the knee here. And yeah, you are cutting through this. Miller, because you are so full of empathy, I will say that you should take a stress dice for this.
All right, you got it.
And Wilson, I'm going to ask you to roll empathy. And if you fail,
Damn.
you take a stress dice.
Damn.
Actually, no, if you succeed, you get another stress dice. If you fail,
No. I already have 7. I'm going to probably succeed, probably panic.
no stress dice on this, just base empathy.
All right. If I click the empathy, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you can choose stress die or not.
Or like shift click maybe, or right click.
Oh, I see. No, I got it. It's a checkbox. I failed.
I failed.
No successes,
No.
no stresses. And I will say that as you were cleaning through the, like, trying to find the specimen jar to scoop the thing back up, because the one that it broke, you also find in one of the drawers 2 doses of nap relief.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take one.
Mid-surgery. It's perfectly acceptable. As there's these really unpleasant
not in it.
sounds, you still have your helmet on, and you just like turn the outside volume off. So you're just, and you can take all of your stress down to 0 as you slink back down against the wall and relax. Everyone else,
Excellent.
though, is watching as Flynn is slowly making his way through this knee. Since you mentioned chicken legs, like you have that sounds as you're popping and pulling these tendons and things apart. The thing inside is stirring slightly, and you are being extremely slow and careful with this. For one success, I'm going to say, like, you can get it done. It is just taking some time, which is why I'm drawing this out even more. And eventually, you have had the knee separated. Reed is standing over it with the gun. The issue is, though, what are you doing with the suit that is still pressed around this thing? You kind of holding this knee just loosely. It wobbles a bit as it's heavier than what you expected.
I'm throwing the whole package in the cage. That's my plan. Or is the suit? Do I have to cut through the suit now? I just wanted to take the whole leg, whole lower leg, just throw it in the cage, and let it burst out of the leg into a cage.
Okay, so you are basically, you're keeping it, there's still a boot and everything that's on from the suit. You were unable to take it off. You're just going to leave it there for right now anyways. As you don't let me narrate what you're doing.
No, I know. I've just never seen these extrusions, so I don't know if that would impede it. Would that impede its birth cycle? Want me to roll an analysis?
Actually, that's a great call. Yes. If you can roll for your analysis talent, it's rolling observation.
1 success.
Okay. And for those at home, when someone has the analysis talent and can roll a success on this, you can ask the GM 1 question. There's a list of questions that you can pick, or like you can just ask me and I will give you a possibly cryptic response based on your observation. What do you want to know?
So if my goal is to, well, I've got the leg off the patient. My goal is to preserve the specimen, but also in a way that I'm not going to risk it escaping the leg. Would it? Should I cut the boot? Should I cut the leg out of the boot, or would it be able to come out of the leg while inside of whatever is left of the pants? the boot leg.
And what I would say to that, as you are kind of holding it, and I imagine that you are placing it very gingerly. Maybe it's Clayton has the specimen box ready to go. You're placing it this leg into the bars, and as you're looking, you can see you don't remember if those were there before, but they are thin, pale, translucent, almost like spikes, barbs jutting out of the fabric of this suit. You can see them kind of moving around inside, almost as if it's adapting to being in such a rigidly constrained environment, preparing to free itself.
So if it's barbs or cutting through the boot,
The other
material, I would
ones have not had barbs. I will say that. The other ones have been smooth. The one that you watched come out of Cooper's, his skull, it was smooth. It was just more kind of bulbous. This is already different activity than you've seen before. You almost want to check the one that's on Rise back, see if they're both like this.
Yeah, well,
Doc, either put that in the cage or I'm about to blast it because I'm seeing stuff I don't like.
I don't feel comfortable continuing to mess around with it. Let's shut the cage.
Okay. And as you do, the steel bars shut. Should be contained. As you set it against the floor, there's a little pool of red kind of spooling out underneath it as the last blood is eking out of what used to be Rye's right leg.
My God, Doc, there's still one more in his back.
And that's where you come in.
What do I? I'm not a medical professional.
You know how they get venom out of snakes?
What?
I went out of a snake bite.
I'm not sucking anything.
Just a joke. You got to keep brevity in the operating room.
Jesus Christ! Don't joke with me, Doc.
No, we need to carry him to the. What's the cleaning? What is the sterilization?
Since you all have bared with my narration for all of this, the pod can be cleaned and sterilized by this point.
All right. I don't trust my abilities to cut this. This other neomorph is definitely very close to precious organs, so I'm gonna let the pod do this. I just need us to help carry him.
I'll pick up the body. I'll try and attempt to pick up the body.
Nice and still.
When I do,
Don't touch the bulb. Don't touch his shoulder.
Rye,
Be very
I'm
quiet.
so sorry,
We don't want to
Rye.
wake him up.
Don't touch his bulge.
I'm so sorry, Rye.
As you are carrying him over, Reed, are you helping with this? Wilson, are you helping?
I'm probably keeping an eye on the leg that we just cut off because I don't feel fucking comfortable about this. Somebody's got to keep an eye on this thing.
Yeah, you can pull a stool over and you're keeping an eye on it because as you were watching them carry it away, you swore you could see it almost rock on the ground just for a second. Wilson, are you helping with this task?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
He's as good as dead. If it's going to burst, I don't want it to be near me.
You can give me an observation roll.
Okay. One success.
Clayton is not here.
She went to get the cage, right? And then she came back?
She did.
Okay. I'm going to go and find her. I don't trust my fellow.
You don't trust your fellow company
Executive.
agent? What is the world coming to? Okay. So are you trying to be sneaky about it?
Not to these guys. I don't care if they see me leave.
Okay. Well,
They're
Miller
busy.
Miller, Flynn, and Johns are carrying Rye, so they're a bit distracted. Reed is still very close to the door, as where she is sitting and kind of kind of like the old man with a shotgun in front of a mouse hole and just like waiting for it to look at him funny.
So
You just
if I
want to
go
walk past
by,
her. If you go by without
Yeah.
trying to be sneaky, Reed will notice. Just all cards on the table.
yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to say anything as I go by, but I'm just going to go by. It's up to you if you want to stop me.
I'd probably give a side-eyed glance, but like I really don't want to keep my eyes off this, so I'd just be like, "Be quick!"
All right.
All right. And as you are going to step out into the hallway, you're hearing kind of grunts as Miller, you're leading them over to the pod. Flynn, are you going to set him on his back? You may try to like peek underneath, and you are not seeing those same kind of prickly barbs coming from Rye's back. You can lay him face down in the med pod. It's just going to take a little bit of effort.
I don't know. Honestly, I have one specimen already. He's bleeding. I don't I don't know, and I've already done like his blood pressure is probably dropping. So the creature might get upset. I just want to get him in the pod in a sealed place. So it's kind of in the machine's hands now at this point, whether or not he lives. I did the best I could. I don't really want to. I don't want to push. I don't want to let my thirst for knowledge, like even more knowledge that might be redundant, get one of these out. So I just kind of want to get him in as quick as possible.
Okay.
Oh, it's a great point. And I actually want to inject him with vaccine before before I shut the hab.
Okay. So you can lay him. I feel like Miller may be more compassionate that not just laying him on his back, you'll sort of roll him over so that he's laying more on his stomach. He looks like he's sleeping. And this thing on his back is, you can see, that's a tail. That is a fucking tail that you are kind of brushes across his spine.
Oh Jesus!
And you're getting ready to hit him on the to hit, extract on the med pod, just scrolling through the functions. And Flynn is leaning over with one of those vaccine ampoule things and is beginning to press it towards Rye's neck. You doing anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm stepping away. I'm at a healthy distance.
Okay. And as you sort of, Flynn, you can complete this. Stuff drains into his neck. And you wish that you could observe for a bit more of a reaction, but Miller's impatient and hits the extract button. And as the hauling med pod is closing, just in those brief few seconds before the doors fully close, you see his body start convulsing underneath the hood. The pod is beginning to get to work. You're watching the diagnostics go, and you're seeing that the specimen symbol is almost blurry, or something is happening. It's beginning extraction. You see that it is scanning, and it almost is running an X-ray diagnostic to view the human skeleton, and then seeing this other denser tissue. Its bones seem to be cartilaginous, almost like a shark, and you are seeing it say beginning extraction. All of a sudden, whenever it says error, 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 and there is a splatter of blood against the inside and the interior of this device, and there is something thudding around. Reed, you're hearing something, but that leg like flopped and moved.
Yeah, I'll kind of point the shotgun up and just go, Doc, I think the leg's kind of coming to life.
Hold on, it's in a cage.
And that's whenever
It can't possibly escape.
And that's whenever you all sort of collectively turn your heads to the left and look at the other med pod that the plexiglass is shattered out as if something erupted from the inside. And as you do, you can see how history has a tendency to repeat itself. As this thing shatters out from the back, there is blood that kind of spatters on the wall. It's dripping from the container as it shattered against more the bottom side of this pill-shaped pod. And this thing shrieks. We are going to transition to Wilson. As you are walking out of the hallway through the med lab, you're in this living area. And I want you to ask what you're doing. Are you trying to be sneaky? Are you calling out for Clayton? Just trying to understand your chain of action here.
I'm not calling out. I want to listen for her, listen for footsteps, see where she's going. I'm suspicious of her motivations, and I want to try and catch her in whatever she's doing.
Okay. You can give me an observation roll with a +1 if you are just being quiet. They're still talking and grunts and things from the medical office, so
Okay. Observation. +1.
mm-hmm.
2 successes.
Okay. You are standing out in this living area as the water that is kind of condensed down from the space freeze that is melting, and it has turned the floor of this area into something like mud. As you're walking through, there's more of those growths you can see kind of pooled in some of the liquid. Some of the plants have been spilled over. The furniture is all over the room in here. And as you are listening, you hear something off to the right, a clattering, more from down the hallway towards the science section, where you went with poor Davis what feels like days ago.
Does it sound like okay. If it sounds like that's the only thing happening, uh I'll go towards it very cautiously because I am aware that there are things on this ship threatening.
As you're walking out, there is the lights are kind of still not perfect. Some of them look like they've taken buckshot, and so the hallway is not perfectly lit. As you're walking down through this science section and towards the junction, you recall that in the science lab 1, this was the large room that will be on your or actually sorry, science lab 1 is the one that is at the end of the hallway. You don't know exactly where the sound is coming from. For your second success, though, I will say that there is another sound from further down this hallway in front. The smell, or you still have your helmet on at this point, so you don't notice anything out of the ordinary, but nothing's getting picked up on your suit speakers.
Okay. So there's still a sound. I heard the sound from the science lab, but also there's something further down the
You
hallway.
hear it's you more hear a little disturbance since you're relying on your suit speakers. There is another kind of just more like static. There was some sound, but you can't tell since you're still relying on your just a microphone basically. But there's something activity down in this hallway.
Okay. I'll go towards that.
Okay.
That activity. Again, cautiously because I know.
As you are moving slowly towards the end of this hallway, this thing is in the room, bulbous, shrieking around I need Miller, Flynn, and Reed and Johns to roll initiative for me. If you can roll a d10.
I rolled a 5.
I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 4.
Okay. This thing has burst from the other med pod, and you have heard something kind of clatter down on the ground. It seems wet. You can't really see too much of it as you are having to make your way around the side of it. It rolled a 10 for an initiative, so I am going to say that that is its first action, is basically breaking itself out of the med pod. And Reed, that's when you hear the sound of fabric tearing. It is now your turn.
I'm gonna trust the dog and believe that the cage is sufficient enough to hold it for now. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna. I guess I'm gonna walk on over and shoot this fucking thing now.
Okay, so that will be your fast action. You already had your gun drawn, so your fast action is going to be to close over towards this thing, walking on the other side of the med pod, and then drawing your gun to shoot. This thing is ugly. It looks, I mean, they're all ugly, but it looks like it was stung by a swarm of bees, even. It seems just kind of bulbous and puffy and things. There's no eyes that look up at you. It's just this round head, and then this tiny, tiny little mouth opens up and lets out this painful shriek at the same time as it makes contact with you. I can't say eye contact. As you are drawing your gun up to be ready to shoot, I need everyone to give me a panic roll.
I got a 5, so it like in total I rolled a 2 and I have 3 panic right now.
Okay.
I rolled to
So
keep
it's
it together.
D6 plus panic.
Yeah.
Plus stress. All right. You got it. Is there a button for this?
Oh, Miller, I don't have your initiative. You rolled a 5, right?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
I rolled a 9. Drop item.
Okay. So this is me fucking up as I didn't have you in the initiative. So you actually went just before all of this. Describe your action, and we'll see if it changes anything.
Oh, I was gonna pull my gun, but since I panicked, I probably drop it.
Well, you would technically get your chance to move around just before Reed
Oh.
did. So you want to pull your gun and shoot at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
For right now, I mean, you can't really tell where it's looking. Go ahead and roll your ranged weapon skill.
You got it. So I'm going to, with my hand on my service pistol, I'm going to blast it. And I panic. Nervous twitch. Woo! Everyone gets stressed. Oh God!
That's when you start fiddling. Where's the fucking safety? So
Kill
everyone,
it! Kill it!
everyone can take that panic or can take that additional stress. Now, Reed, you gonna start blasting?
Yeah, move on over, Sonny. I'll show you how a real Marine does it.
Okay, and
let's
remember
see.
with the shotgun, you get an extra +2 since you are using it. However, I need to pull this up to be properly because it works a little different with armor. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and roll your ranged attack plus stress and +2.
Yep. So I ended up getting 2 successes off of that with no panics.
Okay. narrate what this looks like as you blast this little fucker away.
Yeah, we kind of like put like our foot up just to, on something just to like stabilize ourselves, and we go like put the muzzle right up to it, and just we're feeling pretty stressed. We're just like, die, you fucking son of a bitch, boom. Then like we keep on pulling the trigger a bit, like maybe a couple times to ensure it's fried.
There once was a splatter on the ground. Now it is beginning to look a bit more like a crater. As your ears are sort of dying down in that ringing from being in this enclosed space with the shotgun, that's whenever you can hear another tearing shriek from across the room. Cham, you've been silent. You have been essentially holding your breath. You haven't heard anything. You feel like you have heard it clamber up the wall past your, I'm just going to call it a booth. Nothing has tapped on the window. No one's radioed for you. Ava sits motionless, slumped against the console.
How how much progress did I make on Ava? Because I don't know if this is a safe environment any longer.
So you have been, I mean, you've been here for a bit. You passed your Comtech roll and then some. So I think you have gotten as much accomplished as you kind of can at this point. If you wanted to work further, you would need to probably move her to another location. But you've done what you set out to do, and you can just boot her on if you wanted.
Okay. Yeah, as long as she doesn't make like the dial-up internet noise when she boots up, I think we'll be okay. So yeah, I'll start her up.
Now I really want to have the dial-up internet sound.
I pull the ripcord on two-stroke engine inside of her. Yeah,
When
okay.
everything is quiet, and then you hear the windows.
You've got mail. Perfect. Yeah, I'll flip the on switch.
Okay. It takes a few seconds, but yes, there's no, in the silence, you aren't hearing anything else. You can boot Ava back online.
Okay. And first thing, I'm going to be like in front of her with a hand over her mouth and then my other hand like up to my lips to give her that like immediate like silence immediately. She should be able to process that pretty quick, I would assume.
Her eyes don't go wide like you would expect from a normal person. She just more kind of takes this in. She looks at you and nods.
And then I guess I'll whisper to her like completely. I'll be like, something is crawling around up there. We're not safe here. We've got to leave. Can you handle that?
Running diagnostics. Her eyes flutter up, and you can see the serial numbers that are emblazoned on the undersides of the whites of her eyes. I am mobile. Some repairs still needed.
Yes. Look, I did the best I could under the circumstances that we had at the time here, but we have got to move. I heard on the radio screaming too. I don't think they're doing too well upstairs. I can do the remaining repairs on you, but we've got to get out of here as quickly as possible. Feel me?
Yes, I feel you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move here. Where do you think there's some supply closets up on deck deck B, I think, or at the end of deck C? Those supply cupboards that we looked at before.
Those are on deck C. Those are basically just on the other side. If you look at the map for Dexy, there's
Yeah.
this cargo. What do they call it? The cargo office is where you're at now. So
Mhm.
all you have to do is make it across this catwalk and more into the safe hallways.
These critters that are running around, what do you know about them? Do they go after anything that moves? They hunt by sound, by smell, by echolocation? Like what's going to cause them to come to us?
I don't fully know. What we have seen of these neomorphs, as they reach juvenile stage, they become aggressive hunters, singling out lone prey, attempting to consume flesh. Consuming additional flesh seems to be necessary for their final stage of development. It is unclear if they possess rudimentary sight. They seem to be drawn by movement, sound, temperature.
Now, you've been on this ship for what, 70 years, kicking around here, and you're all right. Do they go after,
72.5, yes.
right? Do they go after droid flesh like your own, or are you kind of immune to their whole deal?
I believe I confused them. The injury you repaired, she leans and turns, and you see this, like the stained android milk blood is still kind of
Yeah.
crusted underneath, but you
Yeah, and
can
I'm
see
like
where,
covered in it too from all
yeah.
these repairs. Yeah.
And she's like, they still attack. One was in Science Office 1, seems to have been a nest. However, Mr. Daniels became irate, and there was an altercation. They do not seem to hunt me, although they are extremely aggressive.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our way out of here slow and steady. If they avoid big groups, I say at that point we get up to the main crew. I believe they're in the med lab and safety in numbers, like you said, right? So let's just keep close, keep it moving, keep it quiet. You understand me?
Yes, I
So
feel you.
awesome. That's I'm like that's great, darling. Now, the other thing I need to know is there any additional escape pods or any other way off of this boat?
I would need to. What would you say? During my surveys of the ship, while attempting to maintain course to Earth, I believe I took stock. All escape pods were ejected during escape from planet. She takes a pause because maybe some of her memory banks are damaged. Slash, I don't exactly remember.
LV 2469.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Planetoid LV1113.
Okay. The other thing I gotta ask. So if we're not getting off this boat, we're gonna need to get this boat moving to get some help. The other thing I want to know everything about these creatures, how they hunt. Do you have any kind of like I don't know, like a registry or database? Like I feel like those people we woke up, they're not telling us everything. We got to know it all if we're gonna get the hell off of here. You feel me?
I am unsure if I feel you. Did you want to escape from this cargo office being quiet? Do you want me to tell you what I know of these creatures? I cannot do both.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. As quietly as you can, tell me everything, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. All right.
Okay.
Great.
And
Whisper it directly into my ear.
okay, I feel you.
Ava ASMR.
Okay. And So for that, I think that the most time-pressing thing going on is the shrieking that is happening from the other side of the med lab. Wilson may have heard the sounds of gunfire, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it in just a second. Reed, as you turn around and look at this thing, there is the sound of fabric tearing as something is aggressively trying to break out of this booted leg, almost like an eggshell of sorts. What is everyone doing as you turn around and see this thing? Also, everyone can take a stress dice for all this if they haven't already.
I'm. I don't think I didn't even get to do anything during the exchange. So I'm still next to the pod.
Oh, yes, yeah. It can be your turn in the initiative for right now. Yes.
Can I look in the pod?
You can. You see Rye is bleeding out. As you peek into the pod, there is still blood that is kind of pattering as it's dripping from the hole that this thing broke in the med pod itself. With your medical training, I won't make you roll for it. It seems as if Rye is still breathing shallowly, but is at immense risk of bleeding out imminently.
I mean, is the pod destroyed?
The pod is not destroyed. It's hitting a whole lot of error buttons. But do you want to try and essentially use your turn to reprogram it and do emergency first aid treatment?
Yeah.
Okay. That can be your action on this now. I'm going to roll. Little baby Neomorph, we barely knew ye. Now it is at this that you hear another one of those shrieks and tearing and can turn and look, and it's a bit disorienting to see someone's leg is flopping around, but it's everything except the foot in this boot. It is contorting, and you can see limbs and things are repeatedly poking through. These barbed limbs, almost like a praying mantis, are tearing their way out of this container around this leg. This looks markedly different than the first one. It's rigid, it's bony, sharp. Miller, it is your turn.
I'm gonna turn my pistol around and start blasting. Just all the while screaming at the top of my lungs.
Wait.
It's tearing itself out of the cage, correct?
Well, I mean, it is tearing itself out of the foot. You don't
out
know
of
if
the
the
boot.
cage is going to hold. And also, you did just roll a panic whenever you were shooting, didn't you?
Right. Yep.
So yeah, you are
I'm
you
out. Oh,
wasted.
I will reload, and then I will take my fast action. Or is aiming a slow? I think aim slow.
Aiming is a fast action.
Oh, then reload as a slow, aim as a fast.
Okay, you can carry that bonus to the next round. I don't mind. So now we are to Reed.
I'm just gonna reposition myself a bit closer to the boot since I've got the shotgun. Probably easier to aim like that, but I'm gonna wait to see if it actually busts out. You know, because the doc said the cage is gonna be fine, so hopefully it is. I mean,
Yeah. I'm thinking while I'm like nervously mashing on the keys. I don't even look back. I'm like, do not kill the specimen.
if that fucking thing gets out, I'm killing it.
Yeah, I'm with him, Doc.
And so
We can find another experiment at some other point, I'm sure.
as oh damn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you all are watching in this split second, as it finally tears its way completely out of Rye's leg, it is shrieking, moving around. You almost see it bouncing around off the bars in this thing like a pinball. And watching its limbs, it would be a stretch to call them arms and legs at this point. They all seem folded in. It's moving so quickly that it's hard for you to get a solid bead on it. And it looks like it is shrieking and pressing itself against the bars of the cage. You are watching limbs of it sort of flail and stretch out. It doesn't look like it's trying to break out of the cage.
What the fuck?
It's still holding for now, but this thing's anatomy is different. It seems stronger, sharper, more aggressive, more developed than the one that you just turned into a paste, Reed.
It's the same like any of the other ones we've seen before. Doc, you gotta hurry up over there and see this thing, because I don't know how long this will hold.
I'm trying to save Kevin. Give me some time.
Well, what's more important, the life of one dude or the life of the rest of the crew?
I have extensive tests planned for the specimen. They cannot all just be ran. What, you want me to just go over, take a look at it? Oh,
I mean,
it
you
is
can
an
start the
Achilles heel.
test.
Give me some. Science takes time, Reed. I wouldn't expect a brute like you to understand.
All right, when this thing starts breaking out of the cage and clawing up your face, don't say I didn't warn you. Have fun with what's his name over there.
And with this, as there's a brief pause, as everyone holds their breath to wonder if this cage is going to hold, Wilson, your suit registers a couple of pop, pop, pops echoing from down the hallway. And you can assume that something about that surgery didn't go as planned. But you still don't know where Clayton is.
I'm not going to go back to them after that. Seems like danger is that way. So I'm going to keep going towards the sound that I heard.
Okay. And you got 2 successes on your mobility, correct? I mean,
Pardon me, sorry?
On your observation, correct?
You cut out at the beginning of your sentence.
Oh, you got 2 successes on your last observation,
yes,
correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. As you are moving down this hallway, you see that there is the junction down to C deck that you had clambered up just before. Moving across, the doorway to Science Lab 2 is closed. As you look inside, moving toward Science Lab 1, you see that there is this nest of strange bones that you saw with Davis shortly before, and your helmet is picking up some more audio cues and clatters. As you turn your head and look inside, there is a person hunched over the storage cabinet that is against the far wall. Clayton is holding, well, she has these extremely heavy duty gloves that seem to be on, and is opened and seems to be tinkering through some of those metal containers that was in the freezer cabinet, muttering. You hear over the speakers, just very grainy, fuck, fuck.
They were like the eggs that were in the specimen.
Meta
thing that I
knowledge,
didn't.
these are like the engineer metallic urns that they
Oh,
all
yeah,
contain
yeah.
those glass ampoules.
Yeah.
That there was as a refresher, because it's been a while since we played, whenever you went in here with Davis, there was this sticky black ooze that was all over the floor that had several of those clusters of fungus
Mhm.
egg things. And it looked like this freezer had been shattered, or at least the door of it had been punched through. And so it looks like it was not keeping whatever was inside cold. And that this seems
And
to be the source of all of this ick.
we saw the urn though, right?
Yes,
We
you've seen the
didn't go
urns.
towards it.
Yes.
Right. Okay. In that case, I will clear my throat.
Clayton immediately pops up. She doesn't do the hands behind her back, but she
Mhm.
more turns on you immediately and says, Jesus, you shouldn't sneak up on people like that. I thought we had a buddy system going.
You're on your own. Am I your buddy?
Are you?
What are you doing?
Examining company interests. I don't think I need to explain too much about how we're given orders to go in, investigate things for xenomorphic materials, retrieve samples, and our pay is commensurate on the samples returned to the
Mm-hmm.
corporation, right? I need to buy myself a new life. Whenever we can fucking get back, I close the door.
All right, I'll close the door.
Yeah. You can close the door and walk over to her. Um,
If there's any way to avoid the stuff on the
I mean,
ground.
you can essentially stay just shy
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And you can walk over to her. Also, Miller and Wilson can give me oxygen rolls, but this is not
Oh
important.
no. It might be.
So I was checking to see how many of these may be safe or stable for return. Um, if what you said is true and I'm technically dead, I need to have options.
Um yeah, I can understand that.
You can. Do you think we can cooperate?
If you can let me in on what's going on here. I have my orders as well. We have to get the ship back on it.
I don't know if you've looked around too much, but that's not looking like the greatest possibility at the moment. At least not getting the ship back before the next 200 years. I don't think we're going to last that long in cryo again.
Do you have an alternative?
And for this, I'm going to ask you to roll. You can either do manipulate or an observation roll if you would like.
I will do manipulate. 0 successes.
I guess
Push it.
I mean, I'm tempted to push.
You got 0 stress. Easy.
I know.
Do you want to try and push it?
I think I'm gonna push it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can trust me.
For the
Oh my
company.
god. No panic or anything, but no. Wow. That was 9 dice for that second one and 8 for the previous one, just in case.
Well, if it makes
Yeah.
you feel any better, Clayton also didn't get any successes on her. So if you would have gotten anything, you could have come out ahead on this. For that, she will say, I might. I don't want to say more. It is very much in case of emergencies. It would be more ideal to, as you said, return the entire ship together. If that is not an option, I would like to be able to trust you. And we corporate types can look out for each other and stick together.
If it's worth my while, I can put in a good word for you.
Well, guess I can't hope for anything better. And she sort of pulls the gloves off and walks past you out the door down the hallway.
Buddy system.
You gonna walk with her?
Oh yeah.
You can give me an observation roll.
Panic. I kept it together though. And 0 successes.
Okay. I'm gonna give Clayton one just in case. As you both are walking down the hallway, you're still mostly relying on your microphone through your helmet, so maybe this is why you don't notice anything. Clayton turns and says, "Did you hear something?" Cham. As Ava is telling you, sort of whispering all of the data dump about these things that you would want to know. Um, she's going to start by talking about the overall mission of the Cronus, then regarding the like kind of everything that has happened. Are you going to try to hurry her up to just focus on these things, just focus on something else? Or it will just essentially take time as you are sitting here getting this info dump.
Well, the first thing I'll ask her is records of where you've been, the mission, blah, blah, blah. Is that all? I assume that's stored somewhere.
That information would be still stored on hard drives located either within the ship's pilot station. I have knowledge of these events and potentially also more for redundancies within Mother herself.
Okay. Well, if they're stored there and we can access them later, how about you just focus on the pertinent details of, um, avoiding these creatures or whatever, like, that kind of stuff right now. And then we'll head up, that way, see if we can get that kind of stuff later. But for right now, just give me the pertinent and then let's get out of here.
For that, she will relay that the creatures seem to be drawn to sound and heat, although she does make a distinction between the creatures and whom she is referring to as the irate former crew members, which seem to attack anything on sight. And as she is describing it, she is describing, I believe it was Mr. Daniels was in the engine room, which is what roughed you up so much.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes a distinction between these neomorphs, which burst from crew members, and then the irate ones, as some kind of disease has progressed.
Okay. Wonderful.
But yes, it's essentially sound, heat, and she doesn't know if they have visual cues because the ship has largely been dark since the micromedia shower.
All right. Well then let's head out of here and let's keep it nice and quiet.
Okay. And you both can give me mobility rolls.
Mobility. Mobility. Where is mobility? Oh boy. Hey, one success, no panic.
Okay. It is unfortunate that as Ava is walking, it seems like there must have been some damage to her hydraulic pump within the torso, as her footfalls are a bit heavy. She got no successes on this, and so normally it would be imperceptible. However, as you open up from this cargo office, each step that she is making on the grates of this catwalk is causing that thud, thud, thud as you are making your way down. You feel like you are leading in front of her and are at least maintaining some quiet, but You don't know how sensitive these things are. You don't even know where this one is, if it's even still in here. But at least she's ringing a dinner bell on herself. You can give me an observation roll as you tell me, where are you heading?
2, 3. Ooh, this is crazy. I rolled 6 dice. I got 4 successes on them. So that's awesome. I'd like to do it faster, impress her, and also let me see the map here real quick. So let's head into where the ladder is up, kind of in the northern part of Deck C. Let's climb up that to Deck B. Let's head to that piloting station. If that's where the data is that the ship has, that's where I'm going to find a way to get this ship moving again. So
Okay, so you're heading essentially to this junction C1, just in the far north
yeah,
of this here. Since you got a disgusting amount of successes on
that's
that
great.
observation roll, what I am going to say is that as you're looking down in this vehicle bay underneath you, it is almost pitch black. But fortunately, you have been looking down there, so your eyes have adjusted to the darkness pretty well. And maybe as you're checking this railing, watching it intently, as Ava is kind of thudding with a clumsy foot across, you can see that there is something underneath the walkway clinging like a beetle would,
Ahead of us or behind us?
directly ahead of you.
Stop Ava from moving.
As you're looking, you can even lean down and can see these finger-like things are just wrapped on either side of the grate for the catwalk just before you reach this hallway.
Hmm. So I'm near what would be Cargo Bay 1, then, I assume. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. Do I happen to know if the elevators are working?
I believe someone tested the elevators whenever you first got on the ship, or at least you looked and saw. Elevator 1 is working. Elevator 2 looks like a firebomb went off inside of it. There were bullet holes and things around it on deck A, but elevator 1 works. And I'm going to say that that is the one that is nearest to you. So elevator 1 is on the left, canonically.
Okay. Cargo Bay 1, big door. Is it open at all or is it closed?
Both of the cargo bay doors are closed.
Okay, that would make a lot of noise. Shit. Fuck, man, I don't know. Great. Well, I've stopped Ava from moving. Um, I am going to try to delicately walk around the fingers as quietly as possible.
Well, so the
And
finger, basically, this thing is just on the underside of the catwalk, and you all have
yeah,
to walk directly over it. The fingers are just along the edges, so if you just walk very delicately, maybe it won't tip this thing off.
and it looks like it's not like a person. It's a fucking alien, right?
I believe that is a fucking alien.
God fucking damn it. God damn it. God damn it.
I'll let you ponder.
Yeah.
uh,
Thank
let's
you.
re- let's return back to Miller and the gang. It's Miller time. You are watching this thing try to break and move its way out of this container. Rise Foot, or rather, the ruined mess that was Rise Foot, is sitting in the box. Blood is kind of spattered around all over the sterile white walls in this room. It doesn't look like this thing is going anywhere. But it is shrieking a god-awful noise.
God, you think it's gonna attract the others?
Well, if it does, I don't want to think about that right now. Honestly, I shit.
Bro, we need to get out of here. We need to start off the ship and leave. We've spent too much time dilly-dallying around. We got what we came for here, which are the vaccines.
I mean, I'm with you. If you want to try to convince Doc over there, that's fine. But it seems like he's playing the altruistic hero over there.
Hero, he didn't save anyone.
I'm trying to save someone. Speaking
As
of
you are
which,
just standing over a machine that's doing the job for you.
hey, I'm doing more than anyone else did.
Actually, so this is a very good point, because on this note, the Pauling med pods will essentially roll medical aid, I believe, at a flat 6 dice. Or if you want, you can take manual control over this med pod and be able to roll with your medical aid. Let me just double check the rules on this. So it would actually give you medical aid +3.
So I just would roll my medical aid with a +3.
Yes.
But then you're stressed. So don't mess up.
Or I can roll for you.
So it's either a D6 or I roll my medical +3.
No. So either I can roll 66 for the med pods dice, or
Yep.
you can try and do a manual control over it, and I will give you a +3 if you want to try to stop the bleeding on this.
So if my medical aid is 3, how many dice am I going to roll?
Six
Your
plus
medical
stress.
aid is based on your empathy, so it's empathy plus medical aid plus stress, and then plus another 3.
Yeah, I'm going to roll my dice.
Okay. Don't
I'm a
panic.
doctor.
Don't
What could go
panic.
wrong?
I only have 4 stress.
Nothing
He
can
only
happen.
has 4 stress. Yeah.
All right,
That's only
just
a
base
life
modifier 3.
+3.
Yeah, +3.
1 success.
Wow.
Oh my god. 11 dice. No, 15 die and only 1 success.
And no panics. Damn. So you can essentially, you see that the pod is going to do sort of a global first aid check on the thing, but it's clear that the main problem is he's bleeding out of his fucking back. And so you can exert direct control over this and essentially start staunching the wound. And you feel like, so Reed, or should I say Rye, you can give me a base stamina roll at -2 because the air still has not been treated in here. All stamina rolls are at -2 because the air is very high carbon dioxide. So on Rye's sheet, you get to tell me if he lives or dies.
And you said this is without stress die?
Without stress die. This is base stamina.
Oh, all right. I rolled 2 successes.
You'll
Why
get
would
to
you
meet
want
your
to-
son soon. As Rye still lives, Flynn is, if nothing else, a doctor and a scientist, and he should study the specimen for later.
So
Holy shit.
does the machine say stabilized?
Yes. As you are kind of spraying in this gel that is coagulating everything, you can cinch up the torn arteries, and Rye is going to make it.
Yeah, I'll probably slink down the machine and just put my head in my hands that I did it. A
Holy
release
shit.
of built up stress.
Okay. Great job, Doc. It says he's stabilized. That's good. Let's take care of the thing in the cage. Can we just shove it into a room for later?
It's
Is there
fine in
anything-
the specimen cage, but if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want,
I'd rather another layer of protection here.
okay, do I know?
Just looking at the ship, is there a room we can just put the cage in the door and shut the door?
Maybe
So,
double layer it, put another bigger cage over the cage. Yes.
around the You can either shut it in the med pod room where Rye is going to be recovering.
No.
That door seals. Okay. You can leave it in the med lab, which also let me know if you want equipment because there is first aid and other stuff around in here.
Is there
or-
like an IV like stand?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm gonna use that as a weapon. I'm just...
You can do that and keep like poking at it in the cage because that's going to do well. But you are right next
it's
to
really
the crew
to block.
quarters. You are next to the crew quarters that are in this kind of living area over here. So you could, if you wanted, someone is going to have to pick up the cage and carry it, but then you can seal it in one of the crew quarter rooms.
Yeah, I'd rather do that.
Who's going to pick it up?
We're gonna have
Wait,
to
don't pick it up yet.
Okay, I won't pick it up then.
I'm gonna
Or
get
you
down
can
close.
just leave it in this med lab
I
and
wanna-
kind of shut
I-
the doors on both sides.
I want to look at it. I haven't been able to look at it yet.
Okay.
We have time. We got to get the ship started, man.
Give me a second. It just extruded it. This is I don't get to usually
Extrude.
Extruded everywhere.
They usually don't. They usually run away. This is the prime.
Well, it can't run away. It's in a cage.
Yeah, but
We hope.
yeah, that's why I never get to see them at this stage of life.
All right,
And this
if
thing
Dr.
is
Flynn's gonna be
shrieking
distracted.
up a racket like a spider monkey just took Florida meth. And you're having to talk very loudly over the shrieks as this thing is continuing to claw around. It's hard to hear much else.
I'm
Okay.
gonna pull John to the side if Dr. Flynn's gonna be distracted, and I'm gonna ask him how much do you trust the people you were frozen with?
I mean, the captain was he would know what to do here. I
You
don't
were
know,
an
man.
officer, right?
I'm the first officer, so technically I'm captain on this ship, but I
Yeah,
don't.
and we let all these corporate types walk over us.
I mean, you can blame me for that one. Man, I'm good at getting shit done, but I don't know how to lead. You know, that's something that's something you've got, you know?
Yeah,
So
I remember all the times I failed my command rolls.
yeah.
Look, we gotta stick together. Us, working types.
Yeah, that's right. We can I mean, I've already lived through one mutiny on this ship. Sure, fuck it. Why not two?
We need to meet up with Cham, one of my roughnecks.
Do you
He'll
want
know
to
what to do.
radio for him?
Yes.
And I have turned my radio volume up to like 17 for some reason before.
Cham, are you all right? We haven't heard from you. Cham? Cham?
I turned the radio off. Like I turned the thing off.
I'm
see
gonna add
his
stress to
signal go
myself
off.
then.
Yeah, like you watch his signal go to an off position.
What the fuck is happening? That's not good. We gotta check on him. He
And
said he was going down to the reactor, right?
mm-hmm. So then that would be exiting from the med lab, and then you could you could either go through the stairwell or hang a right towards the junction near the science labs.
I want to take Reed with me. I want to see what allegiances Reed has.
I mean, I'm just here to make sure nobody dies, man. So if you need an extra gun, I'll stay with you. But
Yeah, I need an extra gun. It seems like Dr. Flynn has things handled here, and who knows what happened to Wilson and Clayton.
I'll I'll turn to Johns and say, just call us in if the boot starts acting up funny, or whatever came out of the boot starts acting up funny, because I don't trust. I do trust the doc, but sometimes I feel like he's a little bit misguided in studying as opposed to keeping himself alive.
Right.
I don't even hear you. I'm too enthralled looking at the specimen.
I wanna take Johns and Reed with me.
No, we got to leave Johns here so that at least somebody's watching over the doctor.
Fine.
Because we also need someone to stay here with Rye, because
With the what's his name? Making
these
sure
creatures
that he's
these
okay.
creatures
What's his
use
name? Kyle.
these creatures eat in order to grow, and this is a prime snack. And I don't want to have wasted all our time for him to just be picked off by something that climbs down through a vent.
Right. And I look at all of events.
And I want to start running tests.
Okay.
So good luck. I hope you find Shem.
Yeah, we need to check on him.
And as you exit out of the lab, the shrieking screams of this neomorph thing it's almost kind of ringing in your ears even. So you can exit out of the med lab and shut the door behind you. And those high-pitched shrieks are still going on from the hallway to your right. Wilson, as you are walking down the hallway with Clayton, she turns and asks, "Did you hear that?"
No.
You both stand there for a second. And that's as you are looking at Clayton's face, your visor on your helmet is fogging just a little bit with every breath. And there is a drip that trails down the front of your helmet. And that's when you see Clayton's eyes look up. And that is where we're going to end it for tonight.
Oh shit!
No.
Oh shit!
Holy fuck.
Boy.
I know what I'm doing immediately.
Just running.
Like that just happened.
So everything is still going fine. I think, you're going to get the ship repaired soon and be on your merry way.
Bro,
I'm a
when's
little-
Act 3?
I'm a little
You're
bummed.
still well in Act 2.
What happened to Act 3?
I'd heard so much that this alien game was supposed to be like tense or something. Like, what's going on here? Like,
I'm sorry if y'all were bored. It's been a while. Been a bit slow.
there's no horror or gross stuff or terrible medical decisions being made. Like, come on.
Hey, I saved the guy who's gonna repair the ship.
I'm ready to eat some chicken wings after tonight.
Ew.
Gotta cut them off right at the knee.
Actually, you know what? I want to get a
Smell.
rotisserie chicken. I got to get some good Foley next
Oh, you're
time
gonna
you
eat
want
it
to
with your
cut someone.
hands?
Oh my god, nasty.
I almost got Miller to suck the wound.
Amazing. That was a great session. That's like, man, I need like a shot and a beer after that one. Like, I need to like calm down.
I'm so glad you all had fun. I am very excited to get to next session where I promise things will calm down a bit eventually. But for everyone here, I hope you all had fun. For everyone listening, I hope you all enjoyed this as another episode of RPG Reanimators. It's alive. We'll see you next time.
Wow.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out the RPG Reanimators podcast for horror scenario reviews, interviews, gaming discussions, and more.